I believe that the Bologna Children's Book Fair's long-standing focus on the cross-media nature of children's content is one of our feathers in the cap. In the mid-90s, we organized the first World Conference on Children's Electronic Publishing, it was so called at that time. In 2002, we created with the Microsoft Foundation the first Children's eBook Award, but too soon, actually. We had to suspend it because the number of ebooks for children was too small. In 2010, we started the Bologna Ragazzi Digital Award, dedicated to children's apps and websites, web series, and in the meantime, we started the digital area thanks to the collaboration of Neil Hoskins. Today's meeting is a wonderful step in this history and especially in its future. And it is very meaningful for us to be here with you to talk about innovation based on the judgments of the jury of the brand new Cross Media Award. This award pays tribute to publishers and professionals who have designed important projects to transfer content between different media. But it's time to get into the swing of it. Thank you very much for joining us today. I do look forward to welcoming you all in Bologna next year in March from 21st to 24th. Warren, your turn.
Thank you so much, Elena, and for those greetings. And I am going to show you the agenda here that we have, and that is a 90 minutes. We are going to have a section where we go into breakout rooms, and then we talk about children's rights. Then we'll have a panel with the Cross Media Award jurors, and we'll discuss the selections this year. And then publisher updates from several publishers, and then a conclusion. For those of you who don't know me, and it's so wonderful to see so many familiar faces, but I'm Warren Buckleitner. I am currently an assistant professor at the College of New Jersey, where I teach in the Creative Design and Technology program. And I'm also editor of Children's Technology Review. And now I've worked with Bologna Book Fair for, hold on to your chair, 25 years. And it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience to continue this tradition. So what I'm going to do is something I've learned teaching college online for a year. And I'm going to get you talking and let you turn on your cameras and feel like you can turn on your cameras. I don't want to force you to. So what I'm going to do is start breakout rooms. And I want you to go into small breakout rooms and just make a friend. The question could be, what's new in children's technology or interactive media or publishing, anything you want to talk about. I'm going to open those rooms now. And there will be, just go ahead and meet somebody new. So you should see those, and I'll call you back in about 8 minutes. And if you're a juror or a moderator, or Elena, feel free to jump in one of the rooms. Darren, what I found is this helps people relax.
And will people I just admitted be invited to a room?
Hi, Chris. No, they won't. You can assign them to a room if they want. If you are just coming in, we're in breakout rooms, and so we can maybe it seems like they're going, unless you and Scott are sending them off.
Not me.
Yeah, it looks like people are. I'm gonna go join a room.
Okay.
You wanna stay here, Darren?
I could.
This is so much like Like the real duster magic. Darren, stay in the room. I'm going down to get the meal.
So if anybody's just gotten here, everybody's kind of gone out to breakout rooms. I think there's a breakout room link on the bottom that you can join.
I was assigned to a room, Darren, but then it didn't work, so I came back in. But anyway, I think I'll just wait. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Well, we can make this a generic breakout room.
Yeah, we can break out from the breakout rooms.
That's right. Anybody who's interested.
We've gained freedom.
Looks like a lot of people are coming back.
Sure.
Was that intentional? Darren?
Hmm?
Warren? I thought we had 10 minutes.
I think it's automatic. You're thrown out by Zoom.
Yeah, I thought we, anyway, hey Neil.
Hey,
And
Tiffany.
Warren, just to share, I just saw Sonia check in now. Hey there, Robin.
But I don't see Warren. We lost Warren.
You're on mute, Warren. There you go.
All right, sorry. You guys can unmute yourself. It's okay.
Eccolo.
I've learned a lot from teaching a year of college classes with Zoom, so I'm going to use all those skills. So if I say hi, Robin, you can unmute yourself, Robin, and say hello back. It's fine.
It's really early for me to be saying hello. Hi. Good to see you.
I feel
one more cup of coffee.
I feel so sad for those people in Asia. I got a request to record everything, so we'll try our best and make sure that we capture this. So,
some of us
but
are
I hope
staying up late, Warren.
Yeah. I hope that I'm glad you're all here. It's so good to see you in any form. And we're going to get started again with the next section so that we stay on track. But did anybody have something that came up in your session that you'd like to share with everybody in your small group, in your breakout room? Any interesting tidbit that we all need to know about? What I'd like to do right now is Sonia here?
I am here, Warren, absolutely.
Oh, there you are, great.
Yes, I am here and ready when you are.
All right, good. I'm going to introduce you properly by not sharing that screen, but I'm going to okay, I'm going to share this screen. All right, so you should be able to see the agenda here. So again, we just finished the Make a Friend. I hope you did make a friend, and now we're going to move into children's rights. And as many of you know, I've been writing about and studying what children do online for many years, and 12 years ago did a project with Consumers Union on what children really do online, and I discovered some crazy things, and that we really underestimate how many children have their parents' passwords. And so the work of ethics in children's interactive media is really in a pioneering stage. Most recently, I've been doing a survey of 100 of the most popular apps that Apple and Google are promoting to children and that they're downloading. And several of you may have seen the article in the New York Times, What Weird Games Lurk on Your Kid's Tablet. It was started by a 5-year-old who put $900 worth of merchandise in their parents' Amazon shopping cart before they started looking at the actual games the child had downloaded. And so I've been looking at the specific techniques that some of the unethical apps are using, specifically teasing, intermittent reinforcement, onboarding, advertising, sponsored content, and general untruthfulness. And it is a messy space that we all need to be aware of and work on. Now, instead of just complain, like I always do, and I've been complaining for 20 years, and I'm starting to sound like a grumpy old person, somebody is really doing something, and that is Sonia Livingstone. And I'm thrilled that you are here, Sonia, and you can fill us in on general comment 25. So I will stop sharing and I'll turn this over to you.
Brilliant, thank you very much. Great. Well, it's really oh yes, here is our website.
Actually, I should say that there is a document. If one of the co-moderators could put that in the chat, the link to the document. There are links and back channels to all these documents, and so this work is so important, and that's why I'm so glad that Sonia could join us. And so I could also say Dr. Livingstone, I presume.
You can say that. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Warren. I'm really thrilled to have the chance to say a little about this, what I agree is important work. It's been a privilege to be part of it for the last few years. Yeah, so it's a peculiar thing, a general comment, and let me just give you a snapshot of what we've been working on. I'm happy if you want to stop sharing screen. I don't mind. Yeah, and I can just. So As many of you will probably know, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child is the document that kind of sets out what is the right thing to do for children, what is the ethical thing to do for children, and what rights children have. And it is the UN's most ratified document, most accepted document worldwide. And if you haven't read it, which you might not have done, I invite you to read it. It's actually kind of an inspiring statement of everything I think you might kind of hope for and want for children. And it's an authoritative document because it's a UN document. So it's addressed to states, it advises governments what they have to do. And it also speaks to what human rights call the duty bearer. And duty bearers are anyone with the power to kind of impact on children's life chances. And so that includes businesses, it includes parents, it includes educators, it includes those who kind of produce resources that really make a difference to children like you do. And I'm originally a psychologist that I've worked with children's, done research in relation to children's digital and online experiences since the invention of all things digital. And I have found throughout that time, and I would say almost increasingly so, that as soon as you talk about children in relation to the internet, people get very protectionist. They get kind of quite restrictive, they get quite anxious. And so there begin to be a lot of desires to kind of wrap children safely, and I'm absolutely for safety. And but sometimes it gets out of balance. And what I like about the Convention on the Rights of the Child is it says children need everything. They need safety, but they also need opportunities to learn. They need opportunities to be agents. They have the right to kind of expression and all kinds of kind of benefits in their lives, just like everybody else. So it's holistic as an approach, as a framework for thinking. It's child-centered as a framework for thinking, and it really does try to be balanced. So the Convention for the Rights of the Child is now just over 30 years old, and it's always been applied across all kinds of sectors, but never until we wrote this thing called a general comment, which is a 10,000 word document, a 10,000 kind of instruction to states. It's a sort of an extra for governments. There's been rising confusion about how on earth these convention rights apply in relation to the digital world. And so the document we spent the last year writing with a big global consultation with children for their input, 1,000 children in 26 countries kind of input, lots of experts, educators, regulators, child rights organizations kind of fed into it. And we synthesized, and the task was to say, dear governments around the world, you accept that children have the right to participate and learn and grow and develop and so forth. How do they do that in a digital world? What does it mean? Especially in a world that, in relation to the digital, which doesn't always know it's a child on the other side of the screen, and doesn't really know very much about that child. And as Warren just said, especially when it's a world that has developed all kinds of business models which may be antithetical to what children really need, if they push them towards all kinds of advertising, or if they collect data and monetize their data in ways that might have kind of long-term adverse consequences. So the task and the resources that we've just linked in the chat is to kind of show the thinking that translated, if you like, what is the right to privacy to what is the right to privacy in a digital world where everything is tracked and datafied, or children need to express themselves. How do they do that in a digital world? What resources do they need? What should we be building that they can find when they go online and get those opportunities? I think I'll just kind of make one kind of overarching kind of structural point, and then I don't know if there's going to be time to discuss, but the Convention on the Rights of the Child has there are three kinds of rights, and I think they're inspiring for those of us working in relation to digital products and services and opportunities. So the first are kind of cross-cutting rights. everything any of us does, if it impacts on children, should take account of 4 cross-cutting rights. The first is non-discrimination. Whatever we do, we shouldn't actively discriminate against certain groups, and that takes some thought. And the convention thinks of all kinds of marginalized and disadvantaged groups, some more salient or important in different parts of the world, but we shouldn't discriminate. The second is that we should take into account what children have to tell us, that they have the right to be heard, and I'm sure you all do in your work, but the voice of the child should be kind of there as part of the thinking around developing digital. The third is the right to, it's called survival, life and development. And I think for those here, it really means putting in the effort to ensuring that whatever resources are developed, they add to the child's development. They kind of take the child forward in a way that is truly productive for them. And the last, which is interesting, is the idea of serving the child's best interests. And the idea of best interests has been interpreted in lots of ways and taken up in court judgments, and was originally designed for cases where there were conflicting views about what the right thing would be. But it's really become a way of ensuring that when in doubt, if it's a matter of commercial interest versus the child's interests, you commit to putting the child's interests first. Yes, everyone has to make money. Yes, businesses must be productive, but not at the cost of a child's rights. That's the kind of test. And then kind of sort of going along with those cross-cutting is a really important one, which is Article 5, which is about, it's called the child's evolving capacity. And it's the idea that however you provide for a child, you kind of recognize a 5-year-old is different from a 15-year-old. Children need different things at different stages in their development. We can't make hard and fast rules and say up to 12 are like this and over 12 are like that. We need to kind of think how to design resources flexibly to be appropriate to children of different ages and kind of tailor both the resources and the ways that they reach children. And that is done hand in hand with parents and carers. So parents and carers, it's assumed, are the ones kind of best able to know, or one hopes are best able to know what is the right thing. So involve them in the process and the judgment about how a child accesses resources. Then there's a long list of specific rights: the right to education, the right to participation, the right to expression, the right to privacy, the right to protection. There's a lot of those. Interesting, I think, for you folk is the right to play, which is kind of added for children to the usual list of human rights that sadly people need reminding apply to children as well. Yes, children have the right to expression. Yes, they have the right to assembly, but they do also have the right to play. And supporting that right is really critical. And in that long list also are various things about the importance of culture and kind of diversity and seeing yourself reflected, and not always seeing other people better than you or different from you or more privileged than you, but seeing your life and your kind of specific circumstances, but also seeing others, you know, not just being in your own bubble, but seeing how others live. And then the last set of articles in the convention, which are also rights, are about process. And I think they're very interesting for people developing digital resources and products. So process rights are things like ensuring that the product has gone through a process of due diligence that thinks about data protection, that thinks about the child's privacy, that thinks about ethics by design, that ensures that you don't put people at risk by having some dodgy Bluetooth thing, or that you're not collecting data in a way that could be hacked, or, you know, so due diligence in that sense. That the process in the sense also of the accessibility to the child, thinking about accessibility for children with special needs and disabilities, explaining whatever is part of the resources of a whatever is part of the product in child-friendly terms, so children can understand the terms and conditions that come with a product, perhaps having information also for the parent in terms that they can understand, including resources in minority languages if a country has a significant number of children who speak a minority language. So getting those processes right, and including the right to remedy, that if something goes wrong, has the child got somewhere to go? If they got a button to press, can they complain? Can they ask for something to be changed? Can they get their data back if they made a mistake? Can they, you know, do they have a kind of a form of access to remedy? Sorry, Warren, I have so much to say. I'm stopping here. That's what it's all about. I think it's exciting, and you guys could really do some amazing work in this regard.
I was just in a conference in Geneva where I heard Sonia speak, and so that's why I thought it was critical that we bring this into the masterclass so that children's publishers in any form can start becoming aware of the complicated issues that happen when you take an idea from print and move it into whether it's a smart speaker or it's a device. I'm one of the ways I boil it all down, Sonia, and I'd love your reaction, is that we need sort of a new golden rule so that I can say to Tim Cook and I can say to, you know, Sergey Brin or Jeff Bezos that do unto other people's children what you would do to your own. Right. And I think that resonates. I mean, you wouldn't trick you wouldn't trick a kid by showing them a puppy and then take it away.
Right.
You wouldn't do that to your own child. So why would you do that to someone else's? Or why would you sell a product that does that?
Yeah. Yeah, I like all ways of thinking that just kind of inspire us. My tip is, and I'm sure you guys do this, but just keep talking to kids, because as soon as you talk to them, this is what they tell you. We want to be heard. We don't like things that are unfair. We want things that we can understand. We want to, you know, just having a child kind of in your ear, I think is a
Sonia, I know
their rights. Yeah.
I know you need to speak to somebody important in Ireland, so I'll let you go to that. But thank you so much. Can we give Sonia a round of applause?
Thank you so much, everyone. And I'm happy to hear from anyone with suggestions or ideas. So
yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Good.
Right.
Taking over the screen again, we're going to move into the jurors section at this point. So I'm going to share my screen. I just want to remind you that go to 5rights.org, and that link is in the back channel. So there's a whole bunch of resources being generated. You guys can all contribute to that handout. The mind power that's right now in the Zoom call is tremendous. So let's harness it while we can. If you have something, if you know a resource or a person, drop it in and share it. That's what this masterclass is about. So I feel better than I usually do. Usually I'm frustrated and I say, oh, we need to do things. Something is happening. This document that the United Nations is acted upon is important work. And so I feel optimistic about that. Can the jurors, let me jump into the juror panel at this point, introduce yourself. I know, Christina, you're here. Can you say hello?
Hello.
Do you want to add on to that? Who are you?
I am Christina. I am Christina Angelucci, and I'm editor-in-chief of Licensing Magazine, that is a leading licensing publication. But here I am consultant since over 20 years of the Bologna Book Fair for all the development of audiovisual and licensing contents. And I handle all the licensing section of the Bologna Book Fair, the famous, well-known Bologna Licensing Trade Fair. So that's me.
And I got to work with you this year, and I really enjoyed it. Neil Hoskins, I know you're here. Can you say hello?
Hi, yeah, I'm here. Hi, Warren. Hi, Christina. Hi, Julie. I don't know. Roberta isn't with us, I don't think, today.
I don't I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I've been working for half the time, I think, that Warren has with the Bologna Children's Book Fair. And I think for the last 10 years, we've been gathering together the conversation about digital ever since those halcyon days of when I walked around in, I think, 2009, the Bologna Children's Book Fair with an iPod Touch saying, wouldn't this be great to have something for kids on here? And I was looked at by many publishers aghast that I would bring such a device into a fair that published books. But it's been a great ride. It's been rocky. It's been dead ends and new avenues opening up. It's been great to be involved and to host the digital area and the digital program that we've had every year. And for the last 2 years, we've all met here with Dust and Magic, or there was a licensing and digital event held by the fair too in April, and I think that there might be another one coming up in September. So it's great to see that the community can join in here and discuss things, because one of the benefits of the pandemic is that we've been able to come together and talk about lots of things over a lot of time and discuss a lot online. So for all of its good or bad things, I think it's been beneficial that we've all benefited, that we've all got some great things from the technology that we have now, and that 10 years ago would have been a real struggle to even meet.
And Julie Fox. Hello, Julie.
Hi, Warren. Hi, Christina. Hi, Neil. So I'm coming from an animation background. I've been working in international distribution for over 25 years. And I was really happy to be part of this jury this year for the Cross Media Awards. And of course, particularly happy with the choice we all made in the end. And I'm now working as a consultant with young producers, young creators, and YouTubers who want to get into the animation business and the TV side of it.
Wonderful. And so Roberta, I don't believe, is with us. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay, so let's talk, jurors, quickly about what did we pick and why? Does any juror want to share? What did we choose this year?
Okay, I mean, anybody can start to say.
Anybody? Yeah, that's
Okay.
And Christina, I should warn you that I do believe there is a Gruffalo in the room.
Okay. Well, and you know that I love Gruffalo. So do you have to say our opinion about the winner?
What I would like to do, I think the thing to do is we obviously chose The Snail and the Whale, and it is a classic, perfect example of moving something, a classic book, from print to all sorts of forms. But we were particularly struck by the aesthetics, the sound, and just the beauty of the video production. And so we do have Martin Pope from Magic Light Productions on right now. So I'd love to turn it over to him. And also Chris Inns is here from the book side. And it's how rare is it to get both of those? And it's wedged in between them is none other than the guy who started all this, Axel Scheffler. Is that true that the Gruffalo is in the room?
I don't know.
Is there?
Axel, would you like to say hello?
I'm here. Hi.
Hello. Good to see you.
Hi.
Axel, can I ask you directly, what do you think about our choice of the Snail and the Whale video?
Well, I'm of course I'm very, very happy with it, and I feel very honored, and it's amazing that we were chosen. And it's always a tricky business going from a book to a film, but I think Magic Light Pictures have done it wonderfully. So yeah, I'm very happy. And
I'm going to stop my screen share at this point, and I'll turn it over to Martin, I believe. Do you have some content?
I think, in fact, Chris was going to start, but depends how.
Whatever you guys want to do, and then Jers, if you want to jump in at any point with your commentary, and let's do this.
Chris, talk about the book.
This is so exciting.
Well, this is great because Axel is very modest. I'm trying to share my screen. I can't share.
Warren, I think you have to enable the sharing.
Yeah. Okay, well, I'll just start. If you can find that, Warren, and let me know. Hi, I'm Chris Innes. I'm the Art and Design Director for Macmillan Children's Books. And I've had the pleasure of working with Axel and Julia over the years. The book is, I didn't actually work on The Snail and the Whale. I haven't worked with Axel since then. But I've got a few slides of bits and pieces that Axel did in preparation. And hopefully Axel can confirm that I've got it right. But yeah, I'd just like to talk to you about obviously the whole thing started with Julia's fantastic text, and
sharing should be enabled.
Brilliant, thank you, Warren. Can you see that?
Yes.
Brilliant. Okay. And Julia obviously is a fantastic storyteller, and in my experience, when she works with Axel and other illustrators, she likes to let them do their thing. However, when it comes to very important points of logic, then Julia does tend to get involved. But generally, she knows what the illustrators do, and particularly Axel, after working with her for so many years. So I think Axel may disagree. I think generally he's left to do what he wants to do, although then the publishers get involved. And of course, when we get involved, there are various reasons why we might change project. Anyway, so when Julia's written her text, we'll put it into a loose layout for Axel. That's when the second part of the magic begins, and Axel does his work. And as I said, Axel is very modest, but and he'll probably be cringing. But what he does is he takes a text and he interprets it wonderfully, and he doesn't just create pictures representing the text. He creates a world with depth to it and introduces his own input into that. So what we get is a real immersion for the child and for the parent, which makes Axel and Julia's work particularly wonderful and strong. So I've got a couple of things here of Axel's. That's obviously the cover. But Axel works in a traditional way where he will do a rough on paper, not digital, and then he will colour it up. Axel, is it true that with The Snail and the Whale, you did this, you created a miniature book, very small. Is that something that, I think this is the only time you've done that, or do you do this more often?
Maybe I've done it twice or three times. I think with Monkey Puzzle, I did the same, but this was quite unique. Yeah, I think I did 2 tiny versions of it. Yeah.
So the brilliant thing about this is you can see that in Axel's head, the images are there, and they may have been reconfigured as the book developed. As you can see here on the right, that image has changed quite considerably. But very early on, Axel already had in his mind the thoughts of what he wanted to do. So that is incredibly strong. And I've got another couple of those. So as you can see, some of these it's incredible that Axel's first thoughts then became the book. It's very direct. I mean, we're coming on to Martin later in a second, and I think it gets a little bit more complicated. And I think it's an incredibly difficult thing for an illustrator to see his or her work in 2D, then suddenly become 3, because for instance, with the Gruffalo, I know that Axel hadn't drawn the Gruffalo face on. And then of course in the film, that adaptation had to be made. And I think that could be very uncomfortable if not handled carefully. And again, right from the start, look at this. Look how close it is to the finished thing. and how wonderful that world is. And here's a world in the north, and then we move to a world a bit further south. And at this point, I think I ought to hand over to Martin to continue with part about the film.
Thank you very much, Chris. And I'm now slightly unnerved knowing that Axel's here, because we never discussed it. So, you know, I hope that all of this will seem right. And I just need to find the right document that I'm meant to be sharing, which is here. So I was delighted that this session is about magic and dust, because our name is Magic Light. So we felt that was pretty exciting. And one of the great things about working with Julia and Axel is that the books are so beautiful. They're published so brilliantly, and we're working with. We take a long time to try to choose what we're working with, and then once we've chosen a book and we're working with them, we try to spend a lot of time thinking about what's in those books. And this is an image that Chris has just shown, and I think that what we like to do when we start is look inside the book, try to see the gaps between what's in the text and what's in the imagery, and explore all the different clues that Axel's giving us and Julia is giving us towards finding different bits of story. And so with this image, I just thought it was interesting that I was looking back at our artwork, and here actually is the image from the book, and I think this is from Monkey Puzzle, and then these are actual apes, and then here are obviously some various different drawings that were done in the creative development of the film. And then actually this is how the image ends up in the film. And obviously there are differences. The volcano eruption was more expensive than we could manage, and you know, it was also more dramatic and more for us this was a very peaceful moment in the film. But we hope that we try to explore what is there in the book and bring the book to life and make it not bring it to life, but bring it into a 3D world within a timeline, so that kids can then go back to the book and feel that it was the book which came to life, and they can go between the book and the film and enjoy the difference, but also enjoy them in their different ways. So when we were starting looking at this book, one of the things which is the most difficult for us is water. It's not something which is easy in animation, and so it took us years before we committed to doing Snail and the Whale, or wanted to do Snail and the Whale, because we weren't sure how we were going to do the water. And this, doing water really was probably the biggest thing that we've ever done in one of these films. But it has allowed us to also explore the wonders of the deep, and all of which are suggested within the books. Obviously, one of the other great challenges of the book is that we've got a very small snail, and here are some early drawings by Max, our director of the snail, different explorations of the shell and what it might look like, and also how the feeling of the skin might be. And then separately, of course, there's the huge whale. And for ages, we could never quite work out how are we going to do this in a film, because actually what you've got is that you've got a huge whale, here we are, and a tiny whale. How are we going to make this feel an emotional connection between them? And one of the great things about working with a team of people who we've been working with since the Gruffalo, Max Lang, the director, is that he eventually came up with the idea that we would bring them very close together in this way, and ultimately, as it were, they would be able to have a moment which is almost like a kiss. And that this, for us, was a moment where we finally realized that we could make a film that was emotional, and it was delivering a big message about the wonder of the world and about the power of being small, which we think is really important for kids. So that's sort of my experience of making the film.
Well, I'd like to, on behalf of all of the jurors, raise a glass of virtual Prosecco in your honor. And Axel, congratulations on delighting so many children over the years with your ideas, and to Chris and Martin proving and showing how you can harness and leverage the power of technology to bring the finest, the best aesthetics, and not lowering your standards, and know that your work was recognized by the jurors.
Can I just say one word, Warren?
Yeah, go ahead, Neil.
I just think when we discussed it and looked at this, the book to the film, and saw how I think the storyline and the words had been almost kept like a treasure within it. There wasn't like an additional script, and I think there was a really magical part of it where you used the rhymes and the rhythms of Julia's text and almost brought more images from Axel's drawings into the film. And then I thought that was a really, kind of really one of the best things about the transition from book to film. You kept that story, and you kept the rhymes and the rhythms that are so important to Axel and Julia's work together. They kind of play off each other when they write and draw, and I think you brought that through. And for me, that was one of the kind of winning parts as a judge, that I thought that was a great show of artistry at work in all the medias.
Thank you. Amazing.
One of the greatest contributors to Dust in children's products is trying to entertain and trying to put more content in and more features and more sparkles. And this does not do that. This is a quiet, the narrative, as Neil said, it's pure, and using the technology to actually amplify rather than distract is really a form of a master at work. So it is magic. You made some magic, and if you haven't seen the video, please experience it. And the book's pretty darn good too.
The book certainly is. There is some chat asking where the film is viewable and where the trailer is, and I will put some links in there in a minute so that people can find out.
Go ahead.
Warren, is there something can I ask to Martin Pope?
I hope you would, Christina. Go ahead.
Well, first of all, congratulations. I follow everything about the magic like pictures, and I think that all your works are magic. And about this one in particular, I wonder, is there anything that you have created for the TV series on your own that was not in the book?
Very little. One of the natures of animation is that one is really only making the things that you're actually going to use. There is no, it's not like making a live action film where you film lots of bits and then you decide which bits you're going to use. But with animation, we're so clear about what we're going to use. I think there's maybe 10 seconds of material which has been trimmed down by the editor. There's maybe one or two assets that haven't been used, but one of the delights of being in this world of making films with Julia and Axel is that we're often using things from repurposing assets from previous films and in another film, when we're lucky enough to make another film. And so, yeah, I'm sure they'll reappear somewhere else. Yeah.
And when you create a movie or an individual project based on books, how much are you loyal to the book and the book stories and the book characters?
How much are we? For us, it's all about the book. As I mentioned earlier, for us, it's about the book, the film, and any products that might be made should all be linked together and have a try to reach the quality of the book if we can, and provide an experience where children can go between the three and find it a positive experience. And in terms of the story, we try not to change anything. I mean, occasionally there are some words, individual words, and then we talk to Julia about changing those. And we consult obviously very deeply with Julia and Axel, but who also have the great skill and kindness to be very encouraging and let us go off and try to do our best.
So many of you have noticed that we're off our agenda, but when you're playing in a jazz band and the solo sounds really good, you let the solo go a little longer. So that's what we're doing here. The heck with the agenda. This is Zoom, you know, but let me, in that light, I do need to move to the next section so that this doesn't go longer than 90 minutes. But let me again thank everybody who participated in this last section, especially the jurors and the Bologna Book Fair for making this alchemy that brought our conversations together. And everybody go keep making magic. Martin, you're good. When it comes, Axel Scheffler, to taking a story and moving it to an iPad or an Android tablet, you might want to talk to this next guy, Emmett O'Neill, because Eric Carle did. And many people tried to take the Hungry Caterpillar and they just totally made dust. And then finally they went to Emmett O'Neill and Story Toys and made an award-winning caterpillar, made the caterpillar work by just showing an egg on the screen. If you haven't played with that app, it's one of the case studies in magic. So at this point, I'd like to move to the next section, and that is part 4, the publisher updates. And I'm going to give 5 minutes to Story Toys, Pivico, Sego Mini, Idoki, and Polarity Reversal. And then if we can, have some time for some demos and just general Q&A. Let me remind you, this meeting is being recorded. Also, that it's an open meeting. You can contribute links either in the chat or in the document that's in the back channel. So far, it's going great. I'd like to thank Scott and Darren for helping me with admitting people of a group this size. And so let's move it on over to Emmett. Emmett, do you have anything you want to share?
Yeah, I had a couple of slides in the deck, Warren, but I did put them in about 3 minutes before this event kicked off. So is it possible that you took a copy?
No, this is the live one, I think.
Oh.
Did you put it at the end? No,
I put them in my slot.
Well, you know what? Do you want to just share the screen?
I was going to say they weren't very good slides anyway, so I'm more than happy to just talk to it. They were literally just intended as trigger points, really. But yeah, basically, I suppose it's been a big year for us. I mean, there's been a lot of changes, but one of the first things is usually when you introduce me, you say Emmett O'Neill, CEO of Touch Press, or Story Toys, or Touch Press, and we waste a bit of time on that. From now on, we are Story Toys and Story Toys only. I am retiring the Touch Press brand, and my company is solely focused on the under 7 space, which I think is where we add the most value. So so Story Toys is absolutely the company I'm here representing today. Oh, great! You found a couple of slides. So so yeah, as you can see, the Touch Press no more. Now, as far as the kind of the next piece, COVID, really, life's changed completely in the context of the last year, both from work practices. But one of the nice things about working in the app space is, we're a medium-sized company. We're about 35 people, and it's still small enough that the code bases, you still can work remotely, versus say larger game studios, or even with animation where the file sizes are very large, it can be more of a problem. So firstly, we had to adapt our work practices. And although that led to some downsides, there was a lot of pluses too. And certainly it meant that people who tended to work remotely from the office actually had a had been working at a disadvantage suddenly were on a level playing field with the rest of the team. So we found, you know, we adapted to it quite well in that context. But also suddenly there was an explosion in interest in ways to keep your kids entertained at home, and in apps that could support their learning, in making sure your kids didn't just fall behind through not being in school. So, you know, we did a lot of things that were reactive to that. We started offering a lot of content for free. We were painfully conscious that, you know, lots of people were not just stuck at home, but stuck at home and unemployed. So we offered a lot of content for free. We extended our trials so that rather than people getting you know, 1 week of content, they got a month of content. And then content-wise, we developed new content for our Lego Duplo app, where we focused on things like hand washing techniques. We also, you know, in recognizing that there was increased anxiety across children, we introduced into our Hungry Caterpillar Play School a series of meditations. So we've tried to be as responsive as we can in creating the sort of content we feel will be useful for parents. We've put more time into our parent guides, into instructions on how to use this content with your child and co-play experiences. That was really very much where we focused. So overall, you know, what a strange world to have to adapt to. But I think, you know, I think as an industry we've done so well, and as a company I'm very happy with it. Which brings me on to the numbers. Actually, starting from that bottom number, that 5 million. 5 million is our number of current monthly active users. If I go back to let me see, if I go back to about November 2019, we had less than 1 million active users. So you can see that the trend towards children being allowed to use media and the number of kids actively using content has increased substantially over the course of the last year. And then, you know, it was we had a couple of big milestones in that. Earlier this year, we crossed 100 million downloads across our portfolio. 20 million downloads of our Disney app, 20 million downloads of our Lego app, and over 10 million downloads of our Eric Carle portfolio. So, you know, as I said, there's been a hunger for quality digital content, and we've found that, you know, yeah, the download and user numbers have just been absolutely through the roof. And I think that in the longer term, you know, there's obviously going to be some reduction in user numbers, but, you know, but fundamentally, I think that attitudes have shifted towards children using screens, and I think we'll see long-term repercussions of that. In addition, I mean, we actually haven't released a new app since 2019, largely because all of our apps we produce new content for on a monthly basis. So every app gets new content packs. It's more apps as a service. So that means there's a team associated with each piece of content we do. And so fundamentally adding a new apps to our portfolio means adding a whole new team continuously producing content. But we will have at least one new app launching before the end of the year, and several planned for next year as well. Warren, if you want to jump onto the next slide. And just finally, to wrap things up, I just wanted to acknowledge the recent passing of my friend, mentor, and I suppose almost colleague at one point in time, Eric Carle. I will dearly, dearly miss him, and very, very upset not to have another chance to talk to him, get his pearls of wisdom, and just learn from him. And the most incredible thing he taught me was really about staying in touch with your childhood self. So I would acknowledge that my company wouldn't be here, certainly wouldn't be as successful as it was without Eric. And I certainly look forward to introducing his work to millions more children around the world in the future. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thanks, Emmett. Applause. Keep up the good work. And yeah, what a I'll leave the picture of Eric up for a second. this last few years has been brutal in many ways. And all right, he's making me sad. So, thank you. I do want to say regarding the touch press thing that I had Max Whitby drop in on one of my college classes, and he recommended this book, Book Wars, and I'm going to move it so it gets through my green screen. Has anyone read this? Because I didn't get time to. All I can say, it's by John Thompson, and I've scanned it. It's got a lot of graphs. I think Scott Traylor would probably like it. And it's very recent. So it is very relevant. If probably there was a textbook for this masterclass, it might be a good choice. So I'll put that a link in the shared document. Thanks, Emmett. And next up we have Sego Mini, I believe, right?
People.
Oh no, Axel. Axel, you're next. I'm sorry. Go. Yeah, take it.
Hey, Warren. Hey, everybody.
You.
Great to be here. Great to be back. Or, you know, in Zoom. We should all be in Bologna. What's going on? When is the dinner tonight, Warren? Good to be here anyway. So for you, those of you who don't know Pipoco, it's the Picture Book Collective. We've been working with the picture books. I've been working with the Step-In books earlier and been able to win a few of the Bologna Ragazzi Awards. Now we changed from kind of making big yearly apps into making weekly contributions. So what we do is we pick beautiful picture books from all around the world, and then we animate them, make them interactive. We translate and narrate them into 6 different languages, and we have a composer who makes music for every picture book. And we have them, like we had one book which was about a piano, and our composer composed music for 400 piano piece, and we had a concert pianist couple from Berlin to record it in their studio. So we really go all in on the musical part of the books as well, to kind of add the third dimension, or that kind of third dimension to the flat 2D picture books. Yeah, so this is kind of what we do. And we make one new book every week. Maybe you can press that little play button there, Warren, and we can kind of see what it looks like. There should be sound as well. So that's very picture bookish in all senses, and less gamey. And it's really interesting, and it's a huge pleasure to be working with all these artists and these publishing houses all around the world. For us, I can only kind of echo what Emmett said about the Corona, what weird times we've been living in. I mean, that's just so sad to be here on Zoom, and that all our kids have been sitting in front of Zoom or Teams, having their school for a year now. On the other hand, I think that no one doubts digital any longer in the publishing industry. I mean, there's been a huge boom, and we can see there's a lot of amazing apps coming out all over, not least amazing cross-media winners. Congrats to you guys. So I think there's a lot of creativity and digital craft that is moving into digital, which is, you know, only to be supported. If that was kind of my dust and magic moment there. For us, it's been like we started in 18, we kind of planned everything in 19, and in 2020, the Corona year, we've been making one new book every week, even with the office empty, people working from summer houses or from home, and through Christmas, Easter, summer holidays and everything. I'm so proud of my team. We're a small team, we're like 8 people. So it's been amazing to be able to live that on a weekly basis. Now in 21, we're trying harder to go out and sell. We now have kind of a larger catalog of titles. We started with one title, now we have close to 90. So that's interesting. We're currently looking for securing the 4th round of our investment later this year. We are working closely with Apple, which is really nice. They see a nice area that we're representing, digital quality content for kids. And because we have so many languages, we can really see also, I mean, I'm sure that also Emmett can tell us how the cooperation with Apple has been helping out. So that's really nice to be taken under their wings. So looking forward to seeing you all in real life in Bologna next year.
Give you a little closing music there. I see the second slide, which I didn't put up. I'll leave that for a second, Axel. Yeah, congratulations on not compromising on bringing the visual aesthetics to more children and making those screens work. One of your products is on our cover, and it was an easy selection because it's just a beautiful underwater scene that just demonstrates how you can use tools like Unity or whatever, and Blender, and all these different kinds of ways to really delight the senses. So thank you for doing that. Let's move over to Canada, I believe. Do we have any Canadians?
Hello.
Oh, it's Jason.
Is Jason here? I don't think Jason could make it, so it's Lisa. Hi, everybody.
Thank you for being here.
I just wanted to say thank you for having me. I'm Lisa Armstrong. I am a play designer at Sago Mini. I've been working on the school project for over 2 years. I've been fortunate to work with an amazingly talented team of developers, designers, artists, and educational consultants, along with kids. We've managed to play test our product throughout the pandemic, and that's always been a very important part of our product. And it's hard to believe we launched really early in the pandemic. So Sago School just turned 1. Big celebration for us. Warren, if you just want to move to the next slide, please.
I will, and I'll also add that both Axel, Emmett, and Valerie, who's going to talk about Montessori preschool, really, you've been able to you've really had no choice to survive to go to a subscription model and take standalone apps and move them into a subscription context. In this case, we'd love to know how it's going, but back to you.
Yeah, having said that, Warren, School is Sago's second app subscription service, with World being our first. And with School, we took it's a learning platform created with child development experts that builds early reading, math, sciences, and problem solving through child-led activities. And there's 2 parts to the experience. We have our kids app on the left, where we have kids learning through play, really encourage independent play with that experience. But then we also did something new with School, and that is our parent app. And this is sort of a first for Sago. We are, reaching out to parents, and it allows us to help connect the parent with their child's experience. And with this, we're sending them celebrations, so celebrating creations that the kids are creating in the app, and then also looking to spark discussions and extend learning that's happening in the app into the real world as well. So really excited about that piece of the experience as well. Warren, if you just want to move to slide 3. So with School, it all starts with topics that kids are naturally curious about. So here's an example of our ponds topic. We know that when kids are curious, they're ready to learn. So we decided to approach learning through topics, which allows us to embed multiple learning goals under one topic that kids are naturally curious about. So you can see here in the ponds topic, we have a wide variety of different activities where kids are counting, doing early reading, exploring, learning vocabulary, some fun facts as well. And I'd just like to say we've definitely come a long way. We launched, like I said, early in the pandemic. We launched with 3 topics, and I know kids probably move through that content really quickly. We've been able to launch a new topic every month, and we're up to 15 topics now, and it really feels like there's a great catalog of content for the kids. I have one more slide, Warren, if there's time. Just figured I'd show some of my favorite new activities that we've been working on. So this one's called Musical Match. There should be some audio here. You can turn that up. Oh, it's all good. There's more.
Green. Green. Purple.
Why is this magic, my friends?
Purple.
This is a masterclass because they've hardwired the stuff on the screen to the finger. So every one of those is a tap.
Blue. Blue.
I do love that this takes sort of inspiration from a really simple, worksheet style matching activity, but then we've incorporated this musical element that just adds so much more play. I've really enjoyed watching kids play test this as well. You see singing, you see dancing, and it's just so much fun.
You can also undo what you do, right? So you can only, the concept of reversibility. This is brilliant stuff.
Oh. P. Hop.
We're exploring opposites here. Really playful.
Short.
I think this one's one of my favorites. Harvey's growing.
Short.
This is what I wanted that mini Bombo app to do, that you could dynamically change between the 2 relationships and rather than just the switch. So good work. Somebody smart's been working on this.
We have a fantastic team. Absolutely.
So ugh.
Oh my goodness.
So ugh.
I know
Slug.
Pierre is on this kind of.
All birds begin life inside an egg.
Pierre is one of the pioneers of this virtual manipulative
the egg
idea.
must be kept warm while the baby inside grows. The baby bird breaks the egg with its beak. The baby bird
That
is
highlighting
called a hatchling.
really helps cement the symbol with the concept, right? It's like the second you see it, you touch it, you hear it. It's all those connections work with concrete operations. And so this is candy right here. I'm exciting. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting excited.
That was it. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's give Sago and the team at Canada a round of applause, and I will move this over. I see that I got out of the slides here. Next up, we're moving into Montessori land, right? I believe.
Hi, everyone. Hi, first of all, I'd like to raise my virtual Aperol Spritz to Christine, who just turned 50 today. Happy birthday, Christine. It would be so much nicer if we were all together on the piazza, but let's just act as if we were. So that was just an introduction. You can move directly to the next slide. I'm happy, no, the one just before that. Yeah. So everybody knows Montessori preschool. So the only, it's been obviously a very different year again to the one that we had last year from my point of view, because We really sell globally, and we see differences across the world depending on whether or not kids went back to school. Because believe it or not, there are some countries where children have not been back to school since March 2020. So, so it's not an even picture for us around the globe. The way that the product has evolved is that we naturally grew the product because we add new content every 2 months. And we also distribute on more platforms, including specific Chinese platforms. We are now available on Huawei and Tencent. And the areas where we specifically grew were languages, because since our app was available in 8 languages, but you had to change the language in the settings to go from one to the other, we thought it would be, no, it's not a video. It would be a good idea to just offer language learning. So slowly but surely, we are moving into that with we have a little talking avatar, the same little girl that you can see on the homepage, that actually interacts with the child, asks questions, and then for COPA reasons, the child doesn't answer back, but there are buttons that, interactive buttons that the child uses to answer the avatar. And so they learn not only vocabulary, but also easy sentences like, hello, my name is, how old are you, and all of that. So we're really excited about the language school aspect that we added to Montessori preschool. Otherwise, well, we launched Brazil, which is an exciting market. It's slowly picking up, but definitely picking up. And the other main thing that I want to say about the markets is that we also saw that in our subscription program, we have more people who choose the annual than the monthly. So that's been like over the past year, the shift towards yearly subscription has grown significantly. So if you want to turn over to the next slide, I wanted to give you 3 key takeaways. So on the positive side, we have found from the interaction that we have with our users that parents' involvement in their digital activities has grown. So it's still used as a babysitter, but because they've had to do so much of it, because they've had to use it for school as well, we feel that parents have started looking into the content more than they used to, and that there is a better screen time understanding, that we believe that parents are starting to differentiate between stupid play, which is cool, and you know, everybody needs to play, and educational time on the screen, and that it shouldn't be considered the same, and there should be some time for educational content on screens and some time for play and play outside and balance, right? So that's my first takeaway. The second one is that because we sell to schools, as I was saying, this is what led us to find out that the situation for kids, I mean, even in the US, across states, it's not the same, right? Some states went back to school. Some states never stopped going to school. Some states were off school for a while and had to rely on not only digital, but mobile technology, because I spoke to a lot of schools that had kids that were just like our employees now, staying home some days, going to school others, or their families were quarantined, so they couldn't go for another 10 days to school. And so the use of having a mobile personal device that could be used whether they were at home or in school suddenly grew in interest for the schools. Unfortunately, there is still a huge budget issue, and maybe less so in the US, but in France, it's just appalling. You cannot imagine. I spoke to 4 digital evangelists last week, and they were talking about schools that own 3 tablets for 40 classes. So they don't have the budget to buy the hardware and forget about the software. They only go for whatever is free. So that's the second takeaway. And the third one, I know it's recorded, but I'll still say it. For us, Apple still moves the cursor. Not only with featuring, you know, they just announced, they released about a few months ago family sharing, which helps a lot for subscriptions, so that a parent can can just allow their children to use specific content that they pay for on their device. Featuring still works wonders, and it's free. So I have to say that I wish that we would go towards more balance, and that's the direction we're going. But in our case anyway, Apple is still a big player.
Let me thank you for that. We need to make a union, all of us, because we need to fight for the rights of the child. It's very simple, and that's why the Sonia Livingstone and the work of the United Nations is actually bigger than Apple. And we need to make that be the dog that wags the tail, and so that the child's moving the cursor, and fight for the quality visual, the story, the narrative. The best stories in the world need to come to children, not Subway Surfer, which is downloaded and making millions of dollars every week. The money is where is what it's about, and we all know that's true. And so you know, we got a long way to go, but what you're seeing here in the last few examples is the boat rises on the account of water. I'm reading the chat right now, and everyone is so supportive of everybody else. It's so wonderful to see the comments. And you're seeing each other not as competitors, but you're seeing people as pioneers who are figuring out this medium and trying to make more quality things for ethical content for children. So thank you for that. And Valerie, keep up the good work. It's so good to see you.
Thanks.
And you're not in a cast.
No, my leg is much better, thanks.
All right. Next up, we have Japheth. And Japheth, I think I heard you speak in 2018. A long
there we
time
go.
ago.
That's correct. So last time I spoke at Dust or Magic, I was working exclusively in publishing with the book company called Carlton Books. I'll reference back to that as we go. I was very flattered that Warren asked me to talk. I said I was going to come and join everyone today. And I'm slightly embarrassed after these lovely presentations from great publishers to have my slides disguising the fact that I don't have anything particularly new to show you this year. It's been a strange year for all of us. Those who don't know me, I'm well known in a lot of different media. I was a documentary maker, animator. I created a show called Liquid Television for MTV that spun out Beavis and Butthead and Neon Flux. In fact, last week was the 30th anniversary of the first air date of Liquid Television. I was the head of multi-platform development for CBBC and CBeebies for BBC Children's Channels, and worked on a number of BBC products over the years. Why don't we go to the next slide? And I focused in publishing on bringing together digital and books very directly using augmented reality, and was lucky enough to get some recognition from the Bologna Ragazzi Digital Awards for a few different titles. Doing things both with licenses like everything from Jurassic World to Star Wars, Frozen, Toy Story, bringing those franchises to life in immersive ways, Alien, for kids, And then also creating original IP, particularly for educational content, for non-fiction content, natural history. And then ultimately, and I think it's probably worth noting that we at Carlton, we managed to build a business that sold close to 5 million physical books affiliated with digital apps across the range of our augmented reality content. And in particular, if you go to the next slide, the world's first AR-powered novel, which allowed me to be an author, which was kind of cool, which sold over 300,000 copies. Once again, was very pleased to have it recognized by the Bologna Ragazzi as the Future Book of the Year. But in a way, it proved how difficult it is for publishing as a business to get behind promotion of digital and print hybrid products. There is a real issue, I think, still in discoverability of a lot of the work that we do. It's great to hear from Emmett and others about the success of subscription models for digital only content, but for content that is about combining the physical book with the with digital content, it remains a tricky environment for consumers to understand what the value add is. And we continue to struggle with that. Partially with that in mind, I've started to move on my own thinking. So very briefly, let me just tell you a little bit about how my own thinking about digital and print has evolved. If you go to the next slide, back when, well, go back, yeah, there we go. When when I presented back in 2018, I talked about augmented reality changing the famous Bill Gates term, content is king. And in my mind, I think I said it back then, go to the next one, I said, actually, I think context is king now, because you can place content in any context. And in fact, we can keep going. We don't need to see my quote for long.
Jaffet, I think, didn't you also say everything you see is a keyboard, everything you see is a screen, or something like that?
It's possible. I'm known for pontification, but actually, I was trying to make a point which I think has now very much come to pass. And if you go to my next slide, the point that you're raising, Warren, is this. We were in a world of connected computing, and we're now moving into a world of contextual computing. And I think it's really important that those of us who are interested in the place between physical and digital content understand this. People talk about metaverses and mirror worlds, but what they're really talking about in content terms is that your content will now be changed by the context in which you consume it. And that's a really significant thing. It's a big, big shift for how we think about content and how we understand its usage and its consumption. And so a lot of the work I'm doing is trying to anticipate that change and think about what impacts it will have. And go to the next slide. You know, we know that people are talking about self-driving cars and drones that will deliver you pizza or your latest Amazon delivery. And these things are already prototyped, they're coming. And the reason why is that when there are smart spaces and we're all carrying devices that alert the spaces to who we are and what kind of profile we have, they will change the experience of being in those spaces. This is no different from a car driving itself, bluntly. And what does that mean for books? We see a pile of physical books there. My goal is to figure out how those same physical books can be connected to digital without changing the nature of a physical book. So if you go to the next slide, what I'm working on is a project I'm calling X-Books. The idea is to give physical books superpowers by letting them have the kind of digital connections that we get through purely digital media. I see the world of book clubs, classrooms, teachers and students, particularly in these distance learning environments, being able to annotate, share conversations around text. The trick here is that you've got to rethink how you trigger AR, and content off the page, because it can't be by having a uniquely designed page. It has to be through optical character recognition and understanding the text and the context that you're placing material in. So I'm exploring all this with some other companies and hope by next year to have more to say about our success. I'm also developing some new story world IP, and I'm also exploring projects around comics without borders. I love comics. I've always loved comics. I think with the situation we have now with issues with literacy, it's extremely important that we continue to encourage kids to read all kinds of content. And I think particularly for boys who often are reluctant readers, there's an opportunity with comics to take them into literacy opportunities that they might not otherwise confront. So I'm exploring how we can do that with comics. And the final thing to say is that Carlton Books was sold. I'm no longer working with Carlton Books exclusively, so I'm available to everyone listening to work with digital strategy, kids and young adult content creation. Perhaps you just want an alternate point of view, and I'm doing that, final slide, through my company Polarity Reversal. And I would just tell you that it's called Polarity Reversal because of Star Trek. If you remember, Scotty was always getting James Kirk out of a jam by reversing the polarities and finding a new solution to an old problem. And that is what I try to do. So that's my little spiel. I'm happy to answer any questions about some of that. There was a lot of strangeness there, but I know we're short of time.
Well, my old professor at Michigan State, Jack Smith, used to say that learning is defined as you walked away from the experience with something you didn't have when you first came to the experience. And I hope that the last 90 minutes, you have all taken something. And Japhet, you certainly just gave us some big nuggets to think about, as you always do.
Well, I'm glad. So
good to see you. Virtually in any form. You're looking well. As you know, we're a little bit over. I'm blaming it on the Gruffalo. I didn't expect the Gruffalo to drop in. So what I had hoped to do a little bit more of, and I'm going to propose that this is a transition point for those folks who want to drop off. But before you go, I just want to say, after 4 reschedulings, I have taken the original contract from App Camp 2 years ago. And I figure in 2022, the pandemic might be over. So it's June 3 to 5, 2022. Come join us at the beach for continued 3-day discussion in real form. That's what I'm shooting for. So, and the other thing is that make sure that you mark your calendars for the 21st through 24th of March for the real Bologna Children's Book Fair, so we can all have a decent meal together. We can all have some good pasta. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I saw some people I wanted to call out. I know Pierre Abel is here. Can you say hi if you're here and just give us a greeting?
Hi.
That's enough. I just need to hear your voice. How are you doing, Pierre?
I'm doing fine, you know. But still, I'm feeling, you know, 10 years ago, we were on the same level. Everybody was starting, and now there are big players like Valerie, Emmett, and everybody is doing business subscription. And I think, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit, you know, a small guy now.
Kristen, you're over there in Germany. Can you say hello real fast if you can hear me?
I think she had to drop off, Warren.
Did she drop off? Okay. I'm not, there's so many faces I can't see who's here. Anybody else want to give some quick headlines? Feel free, jump in. Also, feel free to put your links in on the handout table virtually on that document. We'll keep that up forever, and we'll let you. We'll use that as a resource. All right. Any of the jurors want to say goodbye? You're also more eloquent than I, or give some advice. So with that said, getting the classic Zoom wait time thing that, you know, we learn about how to deal with. Thank you all so much, all the speakers and people who shared today, the jurors, Axel and Axel, everyone for making this a very rich experience for me. And especially thank you to the Bologna Children's Book Fair for being the catalyst for making all of these things happen. So let's all keep doing our best work for the kids, and we'll see you next time in wherever we end up. I propose in United Nations fashion that we draw the meeting to a close. All in favor? Go do your work. I'll hang out a little bit. I'll stand by the door and I'll say goodbye to anybody. So thank you all. Take
Thanks,
care.
Warren. Thank you.
Bye,
Bye, everyone. See you in
Thank you,
real
Warren.
life soon.
Thanks, Scott.
Hope so.
Hey, Emma.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
yeah.
Thanks,
See ya.
Darren.
It's a hard one to leave.
Bye, guys.
That's true.
All right. See you, folks.
See ya.
Take care.
Thanks, Warren.
Bye, Emmett.
Bye, Warren.
I was so thrilled when Axel Scheffler actually popped in. I was like, oh my gosh, there he is. That's cool.
You wouldn't miss it.
I didn't want to tell you guys that he was going to come because I really didn't know if he'd show up, but he did. So that was nice.
It was great.
Mm-hmm.